Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 2 of Phoenix from the Ashes, written by Stephanie Phillips and art by Alessandro Miracolo. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Now with that said, this issue opens in the Quarry of Creation, which is located outside of space and time, at the edge of the universe in the graveyard of the gods. And when we get to the decrepit crypts, we see remains of once powerful deities laying in their final resting place. Now Adani narrates that she never expected that Pericus would take her to stand face to face with proof of her father's shortcomings. For the young Adani stood before the god of her people, and as she stood there, Pericus warned her to be careful because the quarry isn't always kind to its visitors. So with the warning out there, Adani touched the skull just as a bright green light radiated out. And before she could react, a thing that resembled her dead father emerged from the remains and stated that she should have never come here. So with panic in Adani's heart, she was about to run, but before she could move, the thing grabbed her wrist and told her that if she disrespected the one true God, then there would be consequences. So as things started to get out of hand, the ground under Adani's feet started to break up, as her father ominously warned that he is coming. Because the universe is filled with gods, some gods lie and cheat, while others protect and nurture. Some want to destroy and some are simply indifferent. But all gods, regardless of their function, just pass judgment. And from within the quarry emerged a gigantic deity that shouted that she had been warned what would happen if she defied the will of the one true God. So with Adani trapped within the grip of her once god, we then transition over to the moon where everything is going down. And when we get there, we see Jean Grey flying through the skeletons and making a beeline straight towards the Black Order, while Corsair tries his best to fight off Asgardian zombies that emerged from the frozen lake. And once he was surrounded, he called for his daughter-in-law to help clear the threat that was about to attack him. So like a great daughter, Jean did as she was told and took them all out. Now despite her impressive power, Jean tells her husband's dad that she could do this all day. It's just that she needs to find out what the Black Order is up to. So funny enough, Corsair volunteers to go asking around, but was quickly shot down as Jean said she wanted to do it herself, but in order for her to do that, she would need Corsair to protect her physical body. In a burst of energy, Jean took a hold of a zombie's face and somehow transitioned to the spiritual realm and stood face to face with the soul of the zombie she had just touched. And as they stood together, the man asked if Jean could free him, for he had heard stories of the power of the Phoenix. Now to that, Jean stated that she would like to do so, but first, she wanted to know who he was. With that going down, we then jump back to the quarry, with Adani fighting her hardest to break free, while saying the giant before her wasn't real. Now at first, the giant stated that belief does not dictate reality, but that was when Adani shot back and said, it has nothing to do with belief, because he is fake, like a ghost. Following that, the giant went on to say, you have been thrust into an illusion and forced to confront a god, for she is young for the amount of disdain that brews in her soul. Now this lit a fire in the young girl, because she replied by saying that a different god killed her father and brought her there. So with pity in his heart, the one true god of her father placed Adani down and stated that gods have taken much from her, so he wanted her to allow him to give something back. Then the god continued to say, she was brought here for the quarry to judge her soul, to judge what you are and what you will become. Hurt, anger, loss, and even love. All of these things are inside of her, and any one of them could dictate the direction she would choose. But rarely do they ever give an immortal an opportunity to choose the direction for themselves. So he asks Adani to ask herself who she is. With that question out there, we then transition back over to the soul of the skeleton talking with Jean, and during that conversation, the soul states that his name is Hakin and his sin was loving Asgard. And then he elaborated and said, Odin judged him and his followers and condemned them to an eternity of torment. So their souls was to be picked apart piece by piece and bound to serve any who would trade the required bodies to unlock their tomb. And the Black Order is now the most recent group that took advantage of them for personal gains. So with that out there, Jean asked why would Odin punish him like that, to which the soul said, Asgard placed all of their trust in a man incapable of escaping the whims of pettiness. Odin, his father before him, and his son after him, only know blood and bring death and destruction to their people. But the soul once believed Asgard could be a truly peaceful nation under the right leadership, but most would not listen to him, because they had to accept the poison for so long that they started to think it tasted sweet. But still the soul was able to find enough people to support his vision, the idea of a better Asgard, a better future. So they fought to end Odin and his entire bloodline. And once they lost, he knew he wouldn't be seen as a hero or a savior. But Odin was willing to destroy what the soul tried to make better. So following that, the man said he never anticipated surviving the attack on Odin, but he never expected eternal torture. With that out there, Jean went on to say it is not up to her to judge Odin's punishment, but she can feel his pain, for it was emanating from the soul like heat. But killing his own people for a better Asgard is no better than the crimes the soul was accused of doing. After that, the soul went on to say that his purpose was true but his methods was misguided, and all who followed him now suffer because of him. So with pity in her heart, Jean stated that it was time for him to rest and placed her hand on his head and released his soul along with the rest of his followers. And just like that, all the skeletons collapsed onto the floor, leaving Corsair surrounded by dust and ashes. So with the conflict over, a single feather fell onto the ground, and once it landed, Corsair stated that it was all real. Then Jean followed up and stated that you could have told me that all of these skeletons were just for a single feather. To which Corsair replied by saying, "What feather?" as he picked it up and hid it behind his back. So with the cat out of the bag, Jean confronted her father-in-law and asked what was all of this really about because it was time for him to tell the truth. To which Corsair started by saying, he didn't lie, he just left out some things, a couple of small things. And then he said, recently a map went on sale on the black market that showed the location of a moon, this moon, that Odin supposedly used to imprison an army of his own men who had tried to kill him. So of course, someone brought the map before he could borrow it without rendering payment. So with that out there, Jean asked why did he want to steal the map, to which Corsair responds by saying, he wanted it for the feather. Because before they were defeated, one of the soldiers plucked a feather from Odin's favorite raven, and said the feather would go for a high price on the black market. Now this pissed Jean off, so quickly Corsair tried to calm her down by saying he didn't know that an Asgardian army would turn into zombies, and plus he knew that she could handle the Black Order. And just as he said that, the members of the Black Order rang out as they said, let's put that to the test. And just like that the fight was on, Jean went straight to work facing off against Call Obsidian, and with a few hits, she was able to send him flying as Corsair watched in the distance. But just because he had some space between him and the main action didn't mean he was unfazed, for Ebony Maw let out a burst of energy in Corsair's direction, but it was quickly intercepted by Jean. And just like Cull Obsidian, Jean laid him down too, but not before telling him, if Thanos wants to do something in her cosmos then he should send something better than his B-team. So with everything going in Jean's favor, she followed up her previous attack with a bigger one that knocked them all back. And with that blast, the Black Order had enough and decided to run away through a portal. So with that over, Jean had a small conversation where she believed that Thanos was behind this attempt to build an army. To which Corsair apologized and claimed that he lost the feather during the battle. Now following that, Jean told Corsair that if he was serious about being a hero, then he could start by helping these prisoners get back to Gameworld. And with that statement, Jean took off, but not before she told Corsair to check his pocket, for Corsair was hiding the feather the whole time. And on the last page, we jump back over to the quarry, after the true god of Adani's father attempted to pass judgment on her. And out of the skull emerged not the girl that went in, but a fully grown Adani clad in armor with a blade in hand. And when she got out, Adani stated that the quarry didn't pass judgment on her soul, but instead, she did. And following that, Pericus stated that he told her that true power comes from within, but there are others in this galaxy wielding powers that do not belong to them, and they are going to fix that. And on the last panel, Pericus introduces Adani to a few associates of his that is going to help them by the name of the Black Order, and they are there to speak for the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. And with that said, this issue comes to an end. But anyway, down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.